Hey, what's up, everyone? AJ Writes Crypto here to give you a really crucial market update. This video might be the most important crypto video you watch this month or for the next couple months. And don't get me wrong, as bullish as I am for all the things on the bullish scenario, we have the ETF getting approved, bullish scenario for sure. The Bitcoin halving coming in April, going to cause a supply shock with Bitcoin. It's a very big deal. And not only that, the interest slashes that will be coming. The reason the bear market of 2022 happened was because they were hiking up the interest rates, giving power to the dollar, right? Well, we would think that when they slash the interest, when they cut back on interest, the dollar will lose power and the markets will gain power. That is the hope. But given all three of those bullish scenarios, I cannot look past what I'm seeing in the charts. And what I want to show you on these charts, I'm not saying that we're doomed forever or anything like that. And I'm still a believer in, the long term, a year and a half after the halving bull run. I'm here for that. But I really want you to consider these charts that I'm looking at right here. And I think we might be on the brink of a major market reversal. So a lot of times on my show, I show you guys the ES1 exclamation point chart, the E-mini futures. I always like to look at that chart to look at the stock market. On this video, instead, we are looking at the actual S&P 500 index, okay? This is the actual S&P. And as you can see here, right here is the top of 2021. The stock market actually topped off about a month after crypto, okay? So understand that when the stock market was here, this is when Bitcoin was at its all-time high. Keep that in mind, okay? Because now the stock market almost got back to this range. We actually got rejected from that previous all-time high level, and Bitcoin only got to where it got to. Bitcoin didn't get to the 50s, okay? And that is very important, that the stock market is kind of turning around where it was at before. Remember, all-time high for Bitcoin was here, but now stock market's at a similar level, and we're only at where we're at with Bitcoin, which the chart I will show you in a minute. Another thing I want to point out to you is, first of all, there's an idea of not even a double top. This is technically a lower high. This thing didn't even get to where it was before. It got rejected. This level, the support resistance level right here, obviously very important for the S&P to maintain. I'm not saying this is, a doomsday scenario. I'm saying we could come down here, bounce, and continue up. As long as we stay in this range, boring is okay. Boring is good as long as we maintain that value. There is certainly a correlation between the stock market and crypto. These are both risk assets. Let's get real about this. But what I want to point out to you is that this is a 5-day chart for the S&P. And look at this. Let me get rid of all this stuff here. Look at this. We have the price going up in an upward direction. This is a 5-day chart, like I said. And over here, we have the oscillators going down, going down. This is a 5-day chart, anchor wave, trigger wave with a red dot on market cipher B right there. This is a textbook case of bearish divergence playing out on a 5-day chart for the S&P 500 index. I certainly think, the higher the time frames, the higher the indication in these cases. Okay, and a 5-day bearish divergence is not what we want to see for the stock market when we're talking about crypto going to all-time highs, having an early cycle. I don't know if that idea is going to play out considering the bearish divergence on the 5-day chart with the S&P, especially, getting rejected and putting in a lower high than last time. So right here is the 5-day chart for Bitcoin. And remember, like I showed you on the S&P 500 index, when the S&P topped out here at the end of 2021, the beginning of 2022, Bitcoin was over here. And now, the S&P is just below where it was, and Bitcoin did not even get above this crucial support resistance level, this thick yellow line, which is right around, 48,000, 48.4 in that range. If you look at how many times this level, has been tested in Bitcoin, rejected here. This level, as Gareth Soloway put it, is a sore thumb for Bitcoin to get above. And as you can see, we actually did kind of temporarily get above it, but we closed below it, invalidated that for sure. So, and also as we zoom in to the 3-day chart here for Bitcoin, the 3-day chart here for Bitcoin, look, very similar scenario to the S&P index. We have the price going up, anchor wave, trigger wave on market cipher B, another clear-cut case of bearish divergence playing out on a high time frame. This is not good for bullish continuation. Not to mention how high the price is above the 50 EMA right here. So, definitely we want to see Bitcoin hold this level here around 38,000. Boring would be okay. Boring would be good for Bitcoin. Boring isn't bad. But with a 3-day bearish divergence playing out similar to the 5-day bearish divergence on the S&P index, we want to hold 38,000 for any sort of continuation for Bitcoin. Not only that, when we go to the 12-hour chart for Bitcoin, we see, how the price stayed above the 50 EMA. See how the price stayed above the 50 EMA, stayed above, stayed above, stayed above. It stayed above the 50-day EMA since October 15th. And look, we are finally closing below it. We're finally closing below it, which is definitely not good for the bulls here. This is not good for the bulls. Look at all the times we've reversed in the past. Let's look back at, the 2021 example. This is back here, the top of the bull run, right? Top of the bull run on the 12-hour chart. Look how long, Bitcoin stayed above it. We stayed above it. And then once we closed below it, look how long it took us to close above it again. Closing below the 50 EMA on the 12-hour, like we just did for the first time over here now in the beginning of 2024, right here. This is not good, especially with a 3-day bearish divergence on Bitcoin and a 5-day bearish divergence on the S&P 500. I'm not telling you to run for the hills. I'm not telling you apocalypse, but I'm telling you this is a major reversal signal. Okay, so right here is the Ethereum 2-day chart, kind of a similar scenario for Ethereum when we're talking bearish divergences. We have price going up, anchor wave, trigger wave, oscillators going down, bearish divergence for Ethereum. As you can see, Ethereum is currently holding a very important support resistance level around 2,500. I'm okay if we lose that level. I'm actually okay with it if Ethereum holds this level right here around 2,140. Very important level for Ethereum. Even when you zoom out and look at the 5-day chart for Ethereum, it's a little bit more obvious. This right here, this colorful thing is called a Ganfan. And you see how it has, the levels have respected the Ganfan, how it got rejected from here, got rejected from there, over here. Like when you run a Ganfan from the bottom of a level, you run a 45-degree angle and line it up with the 1-1 level. Following a Ganfan to follow, the relationship between time and price actions, very interesting, useful tool to use. And in this scenario, Ethereum, really just got above the 2-1 level right there on the Ganfan. And what I'm saying is that if we lose the 2-1 level and end up back in this little batch here, between here and here, we could kind of see Ethereum maybe lose this 2100 or hopefully bounce above it and stay boring. My point here is that all signs are pointing down. Even when we come back here for the 2-day chart, it's very important that Ethereum does not lose the $2,100 level. But with the visible range volume profile, the volumes all the way down here is 1,600. As you can look on the side of the volume here, is kind of lower, higher, higher. See how the volume is actually trending down here. And when you consider with Ethereum that, it could lose that level on the Ganfan, it has a bearish divergence on the 2-day, the volumes below where the price is at, it's right on a support resistance level. It's not looking the best for the S&P. It's not looking the best for Bitcoin. And there's one more chart I want to show you. On your screen right here is the total crypto market cap for all of crypto. If you took every crypto coin and smashed them all into the same chart with all of their market caps added up, including stable coins, this is the chart that you get. As you can see, I have a lot of support resistance levels laid out on this chart from previous price action. Unfortunately for the total chart, we did not get above the 1.83 level, which is this top level right here. It looks like we got rejected from that. As we zoom in, you can actually see that we're actually losing this level as well, the 1.65, which also is a very important support resistance level from previous price action. So now we kind of got to think, all right, so where could the total chart be headed and how could that affect, Bitcoin and the rest of the altcoins? Well, obviously we would really, really want to hold the $1.5 trillion level. But when you consider the macro, consider the oscillators. Look at this one more time. We have price go up. We have an anchor wave, trigger wave, oscillators go down. We saw it with Ethereum. We saw it with Bitcoin. We saw it with the S&P 500 bearish divergence on large time frames. Unfortunately, this is a lot of confluence. All signs are pointing south for price direction for most risk assets for me right now. So given the confluence with all of those charts, you can see that, not looking the best right now. But listen, this is not the apocalypse. I'm not saying this is the end of the world. Crypto can quickly recover from, bad large time frame things that are happening. We can look at this example back here, in 2021. We had a very similar setup in 2021. We had this initial run up, right? We had this initial run up to 64,000, and then it was the sell in May walk away dip. Remember the sell in May walk away dip? I sure remember it. And if you look at the setup right here on the chart, price go up, and look at the oscillators: anchor wave, trigger wave, trigger wave, trigger wave. Bearish divergence on a large time frame played out very fast for Bitcoin back in 2021. But what happened? Bitcoin had this dip. All right, it fell, 45% in like 90 days, 80 days, something like that. And then look, we had a bullish divergence play out, and we popped right back up by the end of the year. So just because this is happening right now does not mean it's the apocalypse, it's the end of the world. I'm just saying that based off the stock market, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the total chart, there are bearish divergences on large time frames on all four of those charts. I feel pretty safe saying that that little local top that we saw Christmas time, the week of New Year's, that might have been it for a little while. I'm looking forward to a dump. I'm not telling you to sell. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just pointing out to you that things might get bloody. There might be some blood in the streets coming in the next couple of months. Stay tuned. My name's AJ Writes Crypto. Get rich. Don't get wrecked.